"Ma'am, step back. We've got this." The officer's words echoed through Maplewood Park as Alex stood frozen, his hands raised. The flashing red and blue lights cast long shadows on the grass. Just minutes ago, he'd been sitting quietly under an oak tree waiting for his mom. Now he was the center of a scene spiraling out of control. When a sleek black SUV screeched to a halt, the atmosphere shifted. The woman who stepped out wasn't just any concerned parent, she was the city's mayor, and as her commanding voice cut through the tension, it became clear that this was no ordinary misunderstanding. What began as an ordinary afternoon would soon force an entire community to confront its deepest biases. But before we dive in, leave a comment and let us know where you're watching from today. And if this story speaks to you, hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories. The golden hues of late afternoon bathed Maplewood Park in warmth. Alex sat cross-legged beneath his favorite oak tree, its wide branches offering shade from the sun. He fiddled absent-mindedly with his backpack strap, lost in thought. The park had always been a sanctuary, a place to unwind after school or wait for his mom when she was delayed at work. He checked his phone. Just 15 more minutes, he thought, scrolling through a playlist to pass the time. Unbeknownst to Alex, his presence had not gone unnoticed. On a nearby bench, Eleanor Jacobs sat clutching her coffee, her hawk-like gaze fixed on him. Eleanor wasn't a stranger to Maplewood Park. A longtime resident, she saw herself as the unofficial guardian of the area. Any deviation from her perception of normal set her on edge. Alex, a tall, lanky teenager in a hoodie, didn't fit into Eleanor's carefully curated vision of who belonged in the park. She took another sip of her coffee, her unease growing as the minutes ticked by. Eleanor's discomfort transformed into conviction. Alex hadn't interacted with anyone, and he wasn't on the playground or jogging like others in the park. She thought, he's just loitering, probably up to something. She hesitated for a moment, debating whether to act. Her past experiences played into her assumptions, stories she'd heard, news reports that had stoked her fears. "Better safe than sorry," she murmured to herself, pulling out her phone. Still, she approached cautiously. "Young man," she called out, her tone sharp. Alex looked up, startled. "Yes? What are you doing here?" she demanded. "This park is for families and community members. You've been sitting here for a long time without doing anything." Alex blinked, confused. "I'm just waiting for my mom to pick me up. She's running late," Alex said. Eleanor's suspicion deepened. "Well, it doesn't look like you're waiting for anyone," she said. "If you don't leave now, I'll have no choice but to call the police." Alex felt his chest tighten. "Ma'am, I have every right to be here," he replied firmly. "I'm not bothering anyone." Her face hardened with a grim expression as she dialed 911. "Yes, I'd like to report a suspicious person in Maplewood Park." The distant sound of sirens pierced the air, growing louder as two police cruisers pulled up near the park entrance. Red and blue lights reflected off the park's trees, drawing the attention of passers-by. Alex felt his stomach drop. He stayed where he was, his hands visible at his sides, just as his mother had taught him. Two officers stepped out, their faces blank, but their postures cautious. The taller officer, Officer Grayson, approached Eleanor first. "Ma'am, you called about a suspicious individual?" "Yes," Eleanor said quickly. "That boy has been sitting there for over an hour just watching people. It didn't seem right." Grayson nodded, his expression serious, and turned to Alex. "Hey, kid, mind telling us what you're doing here?" Alex swallowed hard, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm waiting for my mom. She's on her way." "Do you have any ID?" The second officer, a stocky man named Perez, asked. "No, sir, I'm 15, Alex replied. "Do you have your mom's number? Can we call her to confirm?" Alex hesitated. His phone was in his pocket, and any sudden movement could be misinterpreted. "It's in my phone," he said carefully. Perez raised a hand. "Just stay still, son. We'll sort this out." The situation escalated as Eleanor added, "See? He's not even cooperating." A small crowd had gathered, some murmuring, others pulling out their phones to record. Alex felt a lump form in his throat as the officers exchanged skeptical glances. Just when it seemed the situation might spiral out of control, the roar of an engine drew everyone's attention. A sleek black SUV came to a sudden stop near the cruisers. The door opened, and a woman in a tailored suit stepped out, her heels clicking against the pavement with precision. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Mayor Laura Davis strode forward, her face a mask of controlled anger. "Officers," she said sharply, her gaze moving between Grayson, Perez, and Eleanor. "What exactly is going on here?" Grayson stiffened. "Ma'am, we were responding to a report of a suspicious individual." Mayor Davis's eyes landed on Alex. "This suspicious individual happens to be my son." A wave of shock passed through the group. Eleanor's face turned pale, her confident demeanor crumbling. "Suspicious?" The mayor repeated, her tone icy. "What exactly made him suspicious? Sitting under a tree? Existing while black?" Eleanor stammered. I didn't know." "No, you didn't," the mayor interrupted. "You didn't know anything about him, yet you assumed the worst." Turning to the officers, Mayor Davis continued, "This situation is a glaring example of why we need anti-bias training. Did either of you stop to question the validity of this call? Or did you immediately act on the assumption that my son was a threat?" The officers looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Mayor Davis placed a protective hand on Alex's shoulder. "Bias like this doesn't just harm individuals, it erodes the trust we build as a community. Today, my son is safe because of who I am. But what about the children whose parents aren't mayors? Who protects them?" Addressing the crowd, she said, "We must do better. We cannot let fear and assumptions dictate our actions." Eleanor mumbled an apology, her voice barely audible. In the days that followed, the incident became a flashpoint for the community. Mayor Davis announced mandatory anti-bias training for all city employees, including law enforcement. The story sparked heated debates at town halls and dinner tables, forcing residents to confront uncomfortable truths about prejudice. For Alex, the experience became a turning point. He joined a youth advocacy group, using his voice to share his story and push for change. In Maplewood Park, a mural appeared weeks later, depicting intertwined hands of all colors holding a single flame. Its inscription read, "Unity begins with understanding." And while the road to equality remained long, Alex and his mother took solace in knowing they had sparked a vital conversation, one that, with persistence, could light the way forward. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think. And be sure to hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories that will inspire you to take action and create change in your own life.